real cheap, and the rest is just squawk. Cheep, cheap. Two friends talking about everything, they're trying to understand. Your friend without these light bulbs be popping in our minds. Need to share our ideas with one another, time to talk cheap. Friends fully tripping because we all have a book up in these lives. Saturday's the night when we get to riff and laugh, cause that's alright. Talk, talk, talk is cheap. Real talk, 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 talk is so cheap, cheap. It's so motherfucking cheap, 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 cheap. Can it be any cheaper unless it costs us something cheap, cheap? Because cheap, cheap is what it's gotta be. So cheap, other than sometimes spent, cause that's we willing to spare. Cheap, 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 and that is all we got to share. We got 2 tickets to board these planes of reality. They know they just missed their train to Trans Central. Hey, all aboard, it's a Saturday night train. So cheap, and real talk is cheaper than ever, ever, ever. Real talk is cheap. The real talk is cheap, cheap, cheap. Real talk is cheap. The real talk is cheap, cheap. Real talk is cheap. Real cheap talk, it's real talk, it's so cheap, it's so funkin' cheap, cheap. Woo, real cheap, cheap, it's so cheap, 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 cheap. Big friends fully tripping because we all hella booked up in these lights. Saturday's the night when we get to riff and laugh, cause that's alright. Talk, talk, talk is cheap. Real talk is cheap. Real talk, talk, talk. It's so cheap, cheap. It's so cheap, cheap, cheap. It's so funkin' cheap, cheap. Woo, real cheap, cheap. It's so cheap, 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 cheap. Can't be any cheaper unless it costs us something cheap, cheap. Because cheap, cheap is what it's gotta be. So cheap, other than sometimes spent, cause that's we willing to stare. Cheap, 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 and that is all we got to share. We got 2 tickets to board these planes of reality. They know they just missed their train to Trans Central. Hey, all aboard, it's the Saturday night train. So cheap, and real talk is cheaper than ever, ever, ever. Real talk is cheap. The real talk is cheap, 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 cheap. Real talk is cheap. The real talk is cheap, cheap, cheap. Real talk is cheap, real cheap talk. It's real talk, it's so cheap, it's so funkin' cheap, cheap. Woo, real cheap, cheap, it's so cheap, 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 cheap.